Listen, The Office Season 3 might be iconic still, like Season 2 level iconic, but it's not the highest on my list. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Just Jake Reviews. I review albums, movies, and sports games, and today we are back with another part of the Office series that I'm doing on this channel, where I go some sort of a deep dive, share my thoughts and opinions about every single season of The Office. Today's video is going to be Season 3. Seasons 1 and 2 did really well on the channel. These videos, I'm guessing, are going to get views, so hopefully, fingers crossed, right? So yeah, here's another one for you. I'm thinking about doing these weekly. I know it, at least to me, it feels like the break between these videos are kind of long, and if they are, I apologize, but I'm working on other stuff, okay? So, yeah, I will finish this series. I will finish this. I made a promise on my channel when I first started. Jacob, if you start any series, any big series, foreshadowing, you gotta finish it. And I will finish this. We will get to season 9. Calm down. Let's enjoy it as it is still good. Season 3. So once again, I mentioned it last video when I did season 2, that season 2 is my favorite season of the whole show. So you already saw it, but that does not mean the show gets worse as of right now. The show is still fantastic. Season 3 is still good. But Season 3, I honestly thought was going to have ranked higher on my last rewatch, but actually, not really. No, I like a lot more seasons better than Season 3. I do. Yeah, all right. So anyways, yeah, so Season 3, lots to start. Where we left off was the casino night episode in Season 2, where Jim and Pam have that beautiful kiss. Jim is moving to Stanford. I think I said that last episode. Jim went to Stanford. Yada, yada, yada. That's where we're at. So yeah, once again, Season 3, we're kicking it off. You get to see Jim at Stanford. And I don't hate Stanford Jim. I don't actually know what, like, the full consensus, I think it's the word, of people if they like Jim working at Stanford. I didn't hate it, especially since you get to see the introduction of a few new characters and all that stuff, which we'll get into a little bit, obviously, because we have to. But no, Jim at Stanford, it seems like he's just the regular old salesman that we know at Scranton, loves playing jokes still. He gets his work done, and he's also the number 2. He's also already the highest salesman at that company, with Josh being the manager. But as I was watching this show, as I was watching this season, I was like, because Stanford has a lot of cutaway scenes, especially you get to see more with Superfan episodes. All the Stanford scenes are kind of weird. But I'm not saying it's bad. It's definitely weird in a good way. But they're kind of odd. They're kind of off-putting a little bit. I don't hate the Stanford scenes, but they're just a little wacky. Season 3 has some downfalls for a few characters, which I'll get into those as we progress on with this episode. The first one I'll talk about is Jan. So, Jan, not that liked of a character, right? She's obviously kind of hated. But Season 2, I didn't hate her. Season 3, you get to see, okay, Jan's getting a little worse. But I'm not going to get into it too much because this is not the worst Jan downfall we've seen. We'll get into it later on. But Jan is getting a little worse because Michael said publicly that he's not happy with her, which, I mean, you can tell from the get-go, like, Michael is being hard forced into this relationship. Hard forced. So yeah, Michael stopped caring, which you could tell. I think it's for the better. Jan just gets a little worse, in my opinion. I mean, obviously people agree with that, but this is not the worst Jan downfall in the show, in my opinion. I love Diwali. The episode Diwali, which focuses around Kelly a little bit. Amazing episode. You get to see more of Carol. Carol Stills. Michael is dating Carol Stills, who in real life is Steve Carell's wife, Nancy Carell. That's so cool. She plays a realtor. She lended Michael his condo, and she went to Diwali with Michael, who they don't really dive deep into Carol like that too much. I wouldn't mind seeing more of her because I obviously like to see, you know, more of Michael's relationship being involved. But yeah, and of course Diwali also has Michael's proposal. Michael proposing to Carol, which I don't know what it is. I think I wrote this down eventually. I feel like they rushed Michael and Carol's relationship. I think it was rushed. I think the writers and directors sort of rushed it. Because we did not see much of them, and all of a sudden Michael's just at Diwali proposing, which Michael gets a little weird in this season. So apparently Roy knows. Roy knows about Pam and Jim. Yeah, they know. Roy's upset. This is where you get to see, I wouldn't call it a downfall of Roy, although Roy, it's definitely a downfall of Roy, if you know what I mean. Roy gets worse, so depressed, you know, like Pam was his life, because his life is literally nothing and he can't do anything by himself, so Pam is literally there to coddle him. But anyways, let's go back to Stanford real quick, because Jim's just living life up there. We got Andy and Karen, 2 new characters. Andy Bernard, the beloved Andy Bernard, and Karen Filippelli, played by Rashida Jones. My thoughts on both these characters. I liked Karen. I did. I enjoyed Karen. I wish we got more of her. I also feel like the writers did not give her much of a chance as they did with Andy. I mean, they let Andy go to freaking season 9. And you just have, you know, Karen doing the 1 season. And, you know, at first she's okay, like, whatever. But then you get, like, you get the tiny little tension between Pam and Karen. I kind of like that. I don't know about you, but I enjoy their small beef of, like, okay, Karen is dating Jim, but she knows that Pam dated Jim as well, or Pam and Jim kissed. I kind of like that, but then obviously Karen and Pam, you know, they also have that friendship side. It's kind of 2 different ships. It's a friendship and a frenemy ship. I like both. I also just like in general when I watch a TV show and 2 girls become like a ship. Like it only got to be dating. It could just be like, for example, you know, Max and 11 in Stranger Things. We should have got more of that. I love girl power. I love a girl power duo. It's amazing. Michael's kind of a mess. I think Michael is actually a mess in this season. You know, the whole thing with Jan. Then you got the whole thing with Carol. Like Carol saying no to his proposal. Michael's going through it all. And I do feel bad for him, but he does have some times where he is slightly insufferable. Once again, I don't think season 3 is the most perfect season of the show. Could be a small hot take. This is also the amazing start of Dwight vs. Andy. The hate between Dwight and Andy is fantastic. Obviously, you see a little bit more of it when you get on later on in the show, and then, of course, the time where you see less of it. But right now, Dwight and Andy, fantastic. One of the best hate arcs, I'm going to call it an arc, one of the best arcs in The Office history. So Dwight and Andy is fantastic. So you have Dwight and Andy and Karen and Pam. Beautiful. And both these things are slightly happening at the same time, which I love. So, one thing about Andy is, the thing with Andy is, obviously we'll get into the other seasons and I'll talk about how Andy just gets worse and worse as a character. He is fine in season 3. He's supposed to be like, you know, the funny guy, Ed Helms, you know, he has anger issues, I get that. But really, he's fine. I do like how Michael likes him. Michael does like Andy at the beginning because, you know, same humor, he gets him, whatever. But then you start to see, okay, that's getting a little worse now. I don't think Michael likes Andy as much as we thought he does. But yeah, Andy's okay so far. Now let's talk about another character that does get worse as the show goes on. We got freaking Toby. Toby is a character that started off as okay. So, like I said, this is my 3rd time rewatching the show. My first 2 times watching The Office, I was a Toby defender. I was like, guys, does he deserve all that hate? I don't think so fully. Okay, Toby is just a guy doing his job, a little awkward, so what? I don't really see the hate. No, watching this season, watching this show again, I'm like, no, I fucking hate it. I don't like Toby. Toby's trash. I get it. Toby's not good. He's a party pooper. He ruins everything. Every single time Toby's on screen, I'm like, oh, like, shut up. Like, how did he continue? Like, his Costa Rica trip that we'll get to, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm just like, oh, Toby's back. Why? Oh, like, Toby, why are you still here? But yeah, once again, Michael not being a fan of Andy really quick after him punching a hole in the wall. Absolutely hilarious prank by Jim. Amazing prank, amazing moment of the show. Awesome. Let's talk about Ryan. Oh my god, Ryan, the freaking temp. You know what? I'll get back to Ryan. I'll talk about him in a little bit. I'll talk about him at the very end. Another episode that I want to talk about, which is actually, spoiler alert, going to be my pick for the best episode of Season 3. The Return. The Return is Dwight Schrute when Dwight quits Dunder Mifflin and works at Staples. And he comes back from Staples. So yeah, you got Dwight working at Staples. You got Oscar returning from vacation, which he actually was gone for a little while. I was actually concerned. I was like, so Oscar's still not back, huh? They don't actually dive deep into that. They just say he's on vacation with Gil, his boyfriend. And then, of course, you have Andy trying to get back with Michael and trying to become friends again. Amazing episode. Best episode of Season 3, The Return. Then we got Phyllis's wedding. Oh my gosh. Phyllis's wedding, which is a good episode. But Michael is a prick. Michael's insufferable in this episode. I hate to say it, but like Season 2, he wasn't really a lot, but we're getting back to insufferable Michael. I'm sorry. He is so rude and such a dick at Phyllis's wedding. Like, just let her marry Bob Vance. Just the fact that she even invited you. You're so jealous. And so what? You're pissed that you have to walk down the aisle with her dad in a wheelchair, and he gets out of the wheelchair. Good for him. At least the guy's freaking walking still. I don't know why I'm getting so pissed about this. It's just, like, I will say, the scene where Phyllis farts is pretty funny, though. That's just my dumb humor, though. Okay, what are we doing now? Now Pam and Roy are getting back together a little bit? Why? Just because Karen and Jim are there? I'm not saying Jim's unhappy with Karen, because he's not. Jim is very happy with Karen. But, like, they kind of, like, we obviously know, we obviously knew this wasn't going to work out and, like, work out for the entire show because the show is Jim and Pam. They are meant to be together. But, like, why is Roy still a main character? I don't even hate Roy. He is kind of insufferable. But why is he still here? I don't like this. Then we got more little snippet on Dwight and Angela. That's right. They freaking kiss. Dwight and Angela, they kiss. Amazing. We get to see them kiss for the first time. It's awesome. We'll get into the later seasons where it's a little spicy. But yeah, Dwight and Angela is starting. That's amazing. Michael and Jan break up. Finally. This is so freaking bipolar. Now we're going back to me loving Michael. Michael, you did a great job breaking up with Jan. Amazing. I love that. You weren't happy with her. We all know that. You told the girls that on the girls' trip. We all know you weren't happy. Oh, by the way, this is also the first season you get to see David Wallace. David Wallace, introduced in Season 3. Awesome. CEO, amazing. We all love David Wallace. David Wallace, he'll come back in other seasons. You'll see him as well. Great side character. We all love David. GOAT CEO. Always takes Michael's side. Amazing. All right, so here's the last part I want to talk about real quick. Jan lashes out. She gets a boob job. She wants Michael back. Jan gets fired by David Wallace. The job is open. Jan's job is open. Jan is Michael's boss. So whoever takes this job will be Michael Scott's boss. David Wallace, once again, always on Michael's side. He's like, yo, Michael, you want this job? And at first, he forgot, because he's Michael Scott, he forgot that he'd be taking Jan's job. So Michael was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Who am I replacing? What's the job? And David's like, you'll be taking Jan's job. And he's like, I don't know about that. Even though they broke up, he was like, you know what? I don't want to take your job. I don't want you to be unemployed. Because Michael wasn't the happiest when Jan was fired. Because, yes, obviously they broke up. And once they broke up, Jan got fucking crazy haywire. Like, just, this is like the season of, like, Jan. This is, now I'm realizing it, this is all about Jan. This is Jan's season. The thumbnail of this video might be about Jan. Not that picture, though. Season 3, yeah, Jan is fucking crazy, dude. Oh my god. So yeah, Jan gets fired. What's this all of a sudden? Karen and Jim break up. That's done. Jim applies for a job. What job does he apply for? He applies for Jan's job, the one that Michael said no to. So he would be Michael's boss at corporate. But Michael's like, you know what? I think I'm happier at Scranton because Pam is there. Because he saw a little picture that Pam made, and he knows that him and Karen are done, so he's like, I can go date with Pam. I can go on a date with Pam, which of course leads to the one of the best endings of the entire season, where Pam is doing her talking head and Jim's like, want to go on a date? Yes, amazing. She starts almost crying. Beautiful. Now let's get back to freaking Ryan Howard, okay? Someone who I absolutely cannot stand. Because now Jim said no to the job. The job application is still open. So who does David Wallace call? Ryan. He calls Ryan, and Ryan takes the job. So now Ryan is at corporate, and Ryan becomes Michael's boss, and that is where Ryan starts to. That is where the downfall of Ryan starts, which we will get into more when we talk about season 4. Also, the worst episode of the season is called Grief Counseling. This is probably not going to be a hot take, but it's not going to be a cold one. In my opinion, Grief Counseling from season 3 might be top 3 worst episode of the entire freaking show. The entire show. There are not many episodes of the show that I would call unwatchable. I am never watching this episode ever again. When I go through season 3 again, I am skipping this episode. This episode is a guaranteed skip. Grief Counseling is so bad. If you have no clue what grief counseling is when Michael finds out his old boss, Ed Truck, died. He got decapitated. So sad. The entire episode, Michael is just, he's like, he's all depressed because his old-ass boss that he said that he hated died. Because you want to know why? Because Michael wants to get attention. Michael likes attention. So, of course, Michael acts sad for no reason, or not for no reason. Michael acts overreactive sadness, and he's like, people should recognize how sad this is. No one else cares about Ed Truck. You can't let that get into the way of your workspace. You can't. Therefore, Michael is a complete bipolar dude in this entire season, and that is why season 3 actually is not that good that everyone says it is. Season 3 is still a great season, but it's not top 3. I said it. It's not top 3. Okay, so, that got here real fast. That's all for season 3. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. Let me know what you guys agree with in the comments below if you want to. And yeah, season 4 will probably be next week. So, see y'all in the next one. Peace.